well, to look at something that has been of great concern to the nation, and that has to do with oil theft. We have seen, well, just recently what they did, well, to some oil vandals that were caught in the hinterlands of Lagos and some other places. Some were also killed, but it would seem that, well, it is a drop in the ocean in the effort to stopping these thieves of our nation's wealth. Joining us to look at this issue of securing our pipelines is retired Rear Admiral Amos Adedeji, as a former flag officer commanding Naval Training Command, as well as former commandant National War College. Thanks for coming. Well, we've always wanted to see the Navy in our studios, and it's good to have you, Rear Admiral. And I'm quite sure you must have been following very keenly to what the Nigerian Navy has been doing in terms of fighting off oil thieves. Let's start off by looking at the importance of that particular commodity to us as a people. We understand from the MD of PPMC how much volume of petroleum product he loses on a daily basis, especially to oil thieves. And the Nigerian Navy, we understand, should be one of those helping us to secure some of our waterways and pipelines.
Yeah, thank you very much. Good morning to you all, and good morning to the country. The issue of oil theft is highly significant for this country, especially at this time of our development. In March this year, the Chief of Operation and Training at the Naval Headquarters gave figures about what has been going on. He said that Nigeria was losing 55,000 barrels of oil, about it, per day, sometime in 2013. And that translated to losing 1.6 million barrels in a month. And that translates to losing about $166 million every month, which translates to losing about 28 billion naira every month. And I guess that is just what they could estimate. Most likely.
Well, that's not an estimation.
Yeah, that's an estimation, because there will be no way they can totally get it all. It will be an estimation, maybe even an underestimation. Now, it was so serious in 2013 that in July, the government set up a National Economic Council ad hoc committee to look into this particular case of oil theft, whatever they could do to control it. In August this year, the Chief of Naval Staff gave a lecture in NIPS, where he also said to the country, we were losing so much. But he then said that the Nigerian Navy had arrested 2,278 suspected oil thefts and pipeline vandals in 2013, and also arrested 70 vessels, 70, most of which are tankers, engaged or believed to be engaged in oil theft. I'm giving these figures to show the enormity of the problem that the nation faces when confronted with this oil theft business. Well, in this year alone, they have arrested 78 vessels. Last year it was 70, this year 78. And they've arrested about 128 people. Also, they have destroyed about 182 illegal refineries this year. And they have prevented about 52 probable piracy operations at sea. These are the things that the Navy has.
Just allow me to come in here, Admiral Adedeji, because when he spoke at NIPS, that was big news to the nation, because if you say almost 3,000 people have been arrested as at 2013.
Yeah, that's right.
And when we talk about vessels numbering almost 100, these are not pen or pin, that when we talk about vessels. And one wonders what form of prosecution we have been carrying out when we make such arrest. Have we been doing that? What happens when we make such arrest?
Yeah. Yes, okay, I was going to step back one more point to say that the oil producers trade section had corroborated much of the figures that we have been told about oil loss in the country. Now, concerning prosecution of offenders, there is a big problem. And what is this problem? The legal framework within which the Navy operates puts a lot of constraint on the Navy to be able to do more than just arrest.
Tell us more on that.
Now, by the Navy Act, the Navy cannot directly prosecute offenders, be they oil theft, be oil thieves, be they pirates, be they smugglers. The Navy has to hand over these criminals or suspected criminals to various other agencies of government. In the case of smugglers, you give them to the Department of Customs. In the case of illegal immigrants, you give them to immigration. In the case of those who vandalize pipelines, you give them to the NSDC or something, National Security and Defense, Civil Defense Corps. In the case of oil theft, you hand over to it's an economic sabotage issue, so you hand over to the EFCC. And for general offenses, they give to the police. They cannot prosecute directly. So what happens? Investigation is delayed most of the time. Remember, this thing happened at sea. And to come home from sea takes time. Investigations are delayed. Not to talk of even prosecution, which is even further delayed. And this creates a lot of enormous problem of having to keep suspects who come around later and say, okay, under fundamental human rights, under the Constitution, you couldn't have delayed me detained me for more than 24 hours. But they kept me here for 2-3 weeks or even more. This puts a lot of problem for the Navy. One, they have to keep them, they have to feed them, they have to look after their medical needs, not talk of their material which have to be kept somewhere.
What are the challenges that you're facing directly in the courts? And what have you been told? I mean, I'm sure you're definitely working with lawyers. What are some of the challenges?
I'm not facing it today because I'm retired.
Yes.
But the Navy is facing it.
Yeah.
In that the Navy does not prosecute directly. That's what I've just said. The Navy hands over people arrested to various agencies of the government depending on the nature of the offense. Mm-hmm. So how capable are these various agencies in dealing with prosecution of offenders? That is the issue. And the Navy experience is that it has not been good enough. It has been quite poor. In fact, they said that there's no, from their record, there has been no successful prosecution of any of these offenders.
Well, I don't think there's a good story we're getting this morning, because if we have close to 3,000, that's at 2013, and they've all been handed over to various agencies, and we still haven't heard anything about prosecution of these people, and even vessels arrested, it means that, we have a problem.
We do have a problem.
A situation where punishments are not meted out to offenders would amount to us having them coming back to business, and it becomes business as usual.
In fact, when they have gone to court, in some cases when they have gone to court, they have been freed. And when they are freed, they return to business as usual.
Is it for lack of evidence? Because, I mean, when you're caught, usually caught in the act. Oftentimes, the evidence is quite glaring. So, on what basis do you think a court frees them?
Take the case of oil theft. Mm-hmm. Let us say you arrest a vessel. First of all, you suspect that it's a criminal, you've arrested him. Now, how do you go on proving your case? You have to ascertain the content of his tanker. Mm-hmm. For what it is, a crude, is it a refined product, or is it oil, whatever it is. So usually you have to take sample and send to laboratories.
Does the Navy do that?
Yeah, the Navy does that. Okay. But then when they go to lab, the other agencies too will also want to be sure that what they are putting forward to court is for a particular thing. They also want to go to test what is the material, what is the content.
So even after the Navy has tested, the other agencies also want to do their testing.
That's right. They also want to test their own.
That's the prosecuting agencies.
That's the prosecuting agencies, and that creates its own problem.
Because it's taking time.
It's taking time. But it's taking time.
How long does it take to ascertain? How long does the lab process take?
Well, it's not the lab process itself that is the issue. It's the issue of the administrative processes that go up and down, that don't come quite cleanly on time.
Well, no, this is something that has been going on for a while, for a long time.
Yeah.
And the Navy has consistently said they want to end pipeline vandalism and oil theft, crude oil theft and all. What has the Navy been lobbying or putting pressures to see that the prosecutions are done when they should?
Yeah, well, the Navy can only go, in this case, to the Attorney General of the Federation, because they don't control all those other agencies. But they can speak with the Attorney General of the Federation, look at our problem, and I believe they have been speaking with them, probably even taking the matter before the President. All right? How this matter is resolved is what we should be looking at now. It's a serious extant problem that the nation is facing. Without prosecution, there's no deterrence. And when there's no deterrence, people go doing the same thing again because they think they can get away with it.